I took the job at Carlisle because it promised what I thought I wanted most: silence. I told my friends it was just for the summer, cataloging archives at an old complex in Pennsylvania. At 32, newly divorced and half-broken, I wanted the quiet more than anything. Carlisle sits quietly just west of the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania. The drive to Carlisle was pretty, all rolling farmland and summer haze. From the road, the complex looked benign. Stately old limestone buildings, red-tiled roofs, cracked walkways. But even in daylight, the air felt tight, as if the land itself drew a breath and never exhaled in. The caretaker, Mr. Fletcher, met me on my first morning. He was pale, thin, his eyes shadowed like he hadn't slept well in years. As he handed me a heavy ring of iron keys, he said, "The basement's colder than it should be, even in August. And if you hear children, lock up and leave. Don't answer them." I laughed, lightly, thinking that there is no harm in some children from around the area playing around. I just hope that I will still get the silence and solitude that I so much needed. He didn't laugh. When I turned, I thought I saw a small figure watching from the courtyard, motionless. I arrived at the complex and decided to start to work right away. The stairs to the basement creaked under my boots, each step sinking into darkness. The air grew colder with every step, not just the cellar coolness of old stone, but indeed something sharper, as if the walls exhaled. At the bottom there were rows of metal shelves, boxes rotting from moisture, folders thick with dust, and in the silence, an emptiness that felt attentive. Light bulbs hummed overhead, some blinking to near darkness before flaring back to life. I unpacked boxes, breathing the sour smell of old paper. I saw an old blackboard against the far wall, faintly marked with words I couldn't read. Was this a school once? Later that afternoon, bent over a file, I felt it. A tug on my skirt, gentle, insistent, like a child wanting attention. I whirled, heart leaping into my throat. Empty air. I backed away, almost stumbling over a crate. A marble lay where I'd been standing. Cracked, clouded glass, dirt still clinging to its grooves. That night, in my rented attic room, I dreamed. Children stood in rows, hair hacked short to scalp, skin smudged with bruises. They opened their mouths to speak, but only black water poured out, dripping down their chins, pooling around their bare feet. I woke soaked in sweat, chest tight, heart hammering. In the morning light, the dream felt absurd, until I saw the same marble from yesterday on the floor beside my bed. I felt a cold fear down my spine, and I was confused. What is going on here? Are these the kind of games that these children Mr. Fletcher mentioned when I arrived here play? I don't like it at all. A week in, as I was shifting a cabinet against the back wall, I found something. A wooden door, bricked up hastily with pale mortar, different from the surrounding stone. In the dust above it, a date scratched into the wood by a child's hand, before it had been sealed. 1891. I stared so long my eyes blurred. Dust lay thick around it, but I saw them, small handprints, pressed into grime. Thoughts started to come back into my brain. Were children here once? Was this a school for children? When I blinked, for a moment I thought I saw the shape of a child's face pressed against the brick from the other side. In the archive, the official blueprints made no mention of another room there. But an earlier map showed Classroom 13, disciplinary. No other record, no student testimony. It had been erased. At night, alone in my room, I found scratches on my arms I didn't remember making. Each day I worked nearby this sealed door. The air turned colder, thicker. Papers would flutter even without draft. One night, as I lay reading in my room, I heard it, the faint echo of children's weeping. I thought it must be wind through broken panes or a stray animal. But the cries came again, high, soft, and wrong. It stopped as suddenly as it started. The next morning, as I headed out my room, my heart skipped a beat. There was a dusty handprint on the inside of my apartment door, small, child-sized. The day after, I was working late. I was bent over old boxes when I suddenly felt a hush-like breath behind my ear, saying, "Tell them." My pulse pounded so hard my vision blurred. When I turned, just rows of shelves and shadows. I fled upstairs. After a while, I convinced myself it was just the wind which came in somehow through old cracks in the building. The next day, I came back to the basement. I froze. On the old chalkboard on the far wall, next to the faintly marked words I couldn't read, there were new words written, scrambled in a childish way. I'm pretty sure they were not written there before. My heart started to pound wildly again. Still, I stared at the words, which said, "Don't forget us," and "Mother," and then, "No speak." I fled upstairs again, breath ragged, shame burning that I couldn't stay. I started to suspect that something else is happening here. And it's not just the children from around the area who come to play here, as Mr. Fletcher mentioned. Remembering his shadowed eyes, a sudden thought struck my mind. Maybe he didn't mean children from the area. Maybe he meant other children. But I could not understand it. What children did he mean? And has it anything to do with all the unexplained things happening to me there? I didn't know what to make of it. And I felt this cold grip of fear in my stomach. I had thoughts about whether I should just leave. But still something kept me here, and I stayed. One morning, under the flickering bulb by the sealed door, I noticed it. A dark stain on the floor, spreading out in a slow, rippling pool. Black as ink. Black as night. Black water. I knelt, trembling, and touched it. Dry. It hadn't soaked the stone. It just sat there. When I blinked, it was gone. Over days, the air near the sealed door grew colder. My breath misted, even in August. In my peripheral vision, small shapes moved. A figure darting behind shelves. The flash of a thin hand. Each time I turned, nothing. But the sense of being watched became constant, the weight of it pressing into my shoulders. I continued my work. As so I was obsessed by something. One day I came across a box labeled Students. I froze. Black and white photographs. Rows of children in stiff uniforms. Some glared at the camera. Others looked empty. Defeated. A girl, hair freshly hacked. Tears drying on her cheek. Were these the children of this school? I found before and after portraits. Before, the children in tribal dress and longer hair, and then after in stiff uniforms, hair cropped. What was going on here? Who were all these children? Why do they look so sad and desperate? In one photo, a boy about 8 years old had eyes so sad it hurt to look. His name, Chaska Standing Bear, was scrawled on the back. My thoughts were running wild, and I felt poundings in my brain. I thought about the date I saw scratched on the sealed door, 1891. What kind of school was that? That night, I dreamed of this little boy, Chaska Standing Bear, standing silently at my bedside. His lips moved, but I couldn't hear the words. Only black water spilled out. I woke to find a thin layer of dust on my floor, traced by small, bare footprints. One night, staying late, I heard a scratching behind a tall filing cabinet. Not mice. Slower, deliberate, almost thoughtful. When I pulled the cabinet aside, I found nothing. Except a thin layer of dust stirred into what looked like letters. Childlike scratches, half-faded, spelling mother, and something in a language I couldn't read. My skin prickled cold. I backed away, heart pounding, leaving the cabinet half pulled out. A few days went by. I was cataloging a lot, merging with the silence and the history around me. Everything looked normal again, until one late evening. That evening, a folder slipped from my hand. I bent to pick it up. Cold fingers, too small to be an adult's, closed around my wrist. I screamed, wrenching free. The grip vanished. My skin burned where it touched me. In the dust, letters, traced by unseen hands, said, "Remember." My blood turned ice cold. I was breathing heavily. At night, I dreamed of children again, standing in a row, their faces blurred, mouths moving in silent chant. The next morning I woke up. I felt like a heavy fog in my brain. I sat on my bed for a moment longer, trying to breathe normally. Suddenly, I found myself staring at my arms. At the beginning, I didn't understand what I was seeing. My arms were marked with small, dusty handprints. That's it. Compulsion swallowed fear. I got out of bed, barely had my coffee, and I went to the sealed door. I brought a hammer. I'm going to find what is behind it and why it was sealed. Each hammer swing echoed, shaking dust for rafters. Brick cracked, mortar crumbled, until at last the sealed door fell inward. The air that billowed out was so cold it burned my lungs. Inside was a small stone room, desks bolted to the floor, rusted shackles hanging on one wall, a whip left hanging from a hook, the smell of damp rot and something older. Fear baked into stone. The floor was scattered with toys, a carved rabbit, a marble, a broken doll. A teacher's desk faced the room, and a broken blackboard hung behind. On the cracked blackboard, a phrase scratched over and over in a child's shaky hand, saying, "I will not speak my tongue." And below it, someone or something had scrawled 3 words in white chalk. I didn't recognize the language then, but it had a quiet gravity. I moved closer, trembling. I bent to pick up a notebook from a child's desk. The cover bore a name, Elise White Owl. Flipping through, the handwriting stopped mid-sentence. My flashlight flickered. Darkness pressed in, almost alive. Then, I felt it. Tugs at my skirt. Small hands. It felt like thousands small hands, tugging at my skirt, insisting. I screamed and spun around wildly, waving my flashlight like crazy. No one there. The air grew heavier until my chest could barely rise. Then, in the gloom, a shadow stirred. A boy stepped forward. The one from the photo. Chaska. I stared at him. I couldn't believe it. Then his stitched lips strained. In the darkness, they tore open. A breathless whisper. "Tell them." I couldn't breathe. As I backed out, my flashlight caught dozens of tiny handprints, smeared in dust. Next thing I know, I woke up on the floor. Apparently, I fainted. The hidden room was empty now. I was so cold. I was not sure anymore what was a dream and what was reality. Back in the basement, I searched for Elise White Owl. I found her enrollment card, which said, arrived from the Standing Rock Reservation in 1907, died of pneumonia, age 9, buried on site. My hands were shaking. What? A student of the school, aged 9, died here and was buried? What, on site? What does that even mean? Was this an orphanage? Were these children orphans? I remember the black and white photos of children I have found the other day. They surely looked so sad and lost in those photos. There was something else I wanted to check. The words on the chalkboard in the language I couldn't read. I discovered that they were in Arapaho, Neni Shohu. It translates loosely to remember me. I learned that Arapaho is a native language. It did shed some light on some things here. For example, the children in the photos. In the before and after photos, the children surely wore native cloths before they were put into these school uniforms. Sometimes I could barely recognize it's the same child. They look so different after. I remember the little girl in one of the photos. She cried after her hair was cut. My heart ached for her. Why did they have to cut her hair? Sleep became impossible. My dreams filled with children whose faces blurred as I reached for them. Each time, they whispered my name. Always the same plea. Remember us. By daylight, I'd convince myself it was stress, imagination. But then I'd find small footprints traced in dust across my apartment floor. One evening, I decided to take a short break and just walk around the area, breathe some fresh air, clear my mind, try to relax a bit. It was still hot outside, but the breeze was refreshing. I was slightly looking around, breathing, trying to relax, starting to feel somewhat better. All of a sudden, I found myself staring at something. I was not quite sure what I was seeing. Beyond a broken fence, hidden by weeds, rows of small light stones. I walked closer, looking at the stones. Leaning and cracked, some had names, many said only, unknown. I traced them, my voice cracking. Lucy, Pretty Eagle. Ernest, Knocks Off. Chaska, Standing Bear. Elise, White Owl. Wait a minute, I remember these names. Elise White Owl, the little girl from the school. I have found her notebook in the hidden room, and Chaska, the boy from the old photo from the box in the basement. I froze. It was a children's cemetery. Children from this school are buried here. I wanted to scream. What happened in this school? What happened to all these children? I read every name aloud. Like crazy, I walked between those white old stones and read the names. But there were so many stones with no name on them, just unknown. I didn't understand it. Didn't the school know its own students? How is that possible? And where were the families of all of these children? Did no one look for these missing children that are buried here only under unknown? And there are so many of them just unknown. Behind me, I heard small footsteps in the wet grass. I turned. Nothing there. But the grass was bent, as if someone had stood watching. I almost got used to it by now, to kind of getting chased around by invisible children. A crow landed on the fence, cawed once, then flew away. Back in the basement, I continued my work in an obsession. I opened more sealed boxes. I found enrollment cards. I dug deeper in the box. I found letters. I started to read a few. They were letters from parents. Parents of children from this school. And wait. They were begging for their children. I had to stop for a moment. I had to process it, try to understand. So these children were not orphans. They had parents who were looking for them and were begging to have their children back home. A mother who begged to know what is happening with her little girl. Parents who begged to get their 3 children back. Another mother who begged to get her little 5-year-old boy back. And on and on and on. I had to stop reading. I couldn't read anymore. Chills of shock and disbelief clinched to every inch of my body. Why were so many kids kept here, away from their parents, from their homes, and let alone ending being buried here? Another chilling thought crossed my mind. Maybe these are even parents of unknown children I saw buried next to the school. I started to feel that there was something wrong about this school, even criminal. Feeling sick to my stomach, I continued to dig deeper into the old boxes in the basement. I found reports of illness, signed with careless scrawls. I forced open a drawer nailed shut. Inside were more letters. Childlike scrawl on brittle paper. Children's letters. Scared of what else I might find here, I slowly started to read some of them. One boy wrote in 1885, "They beat me until I could not stand because I spoke Lakota in my sleep." A girl aged 9 wrote, "They made me kneel on salt and rocks for an hour because I said our prayer before bed. They cut my hair. I cried. They whipped me. They say my words are wicked. Mother, please come get me. Please come take me home." One girl wrote, "They cut my braids. They wash my mouth with lie when I speak our words." Another boy, barely 9, wrote, "They lock us in the dark until we forget our names." Some letters ended mid-sentence. A letter in Lakota, crudely translated by a missionary. "Mother, they cut my hair. I cried, and they whipped me. They call me Thomas now. But in dreams I am still Tatanka Chikala, which translates to Little Buffalo." I felt goosebumps all over my skin. These children were tortured. This school tortured its students. I couldn't believe my eyes. In red ink, stamped across the top of these letters box, was written, "Not suitable for mailing." These letters were never sent. They lay silent here for over a century, children begging parents to take them back. Their grief soaked the pages, alive even now. My thoughts went wild. My heart raced. What happened here? What did they do to these children? And why and by who? Was this like a sick game of some sick people? But there were so many children here. How could they hide it all from the world? I thought about this mother. I read her letter too, among all the other parents' letters who were sent to the school. This mother begged for her little 7-year-old girl. I pictured her in my mind, a mother worrying sick, begging, feeling so helpless, consumed by grief, just wanting her little girl back. I just sat there on the basement's dirty floor, crying. One afternoon, while sorting unlabeled boxes, I started to read another yellowing file I have found. Speaking their native language, 5 days bread and water, or mouths washed with lye or soap. What? I continued to read. Running away, solitary confinement in pitch black for 4 days, and whipping. Laughing during prayer, whipping, 10 lashes, or kneeling for 3 hours on broom handles or stones. My heart raced. These are lists of punishments. In the margin of one page, someone had written in faded pencil, "They cried until they had no voice." That night, I dreamed I stood in line among them, my hair shorn, clothes stripped. A man's voice thundered, English only. One child beside me whispered a prayer in Lakota. The whip cracked. Blood splattered my face. I woke up screaming, heart hammering. In the mirror, behind my reflection, I saw rows of children, eyes fixed on mine. I fled outside, barefoot, across the courtyard. But instead of finding something better to do, I went straight to the basement again. I couldn't believe my eyes. There, papers had been scattered across the floor, and on the blackboard, someone had written, "Tell them what happened to us." With a very heavy feeling in my heart, I decided to go back to the hidden room. This time, the chalkboard was covered in writings, names, dozens, in various tribal languages. Something small and unseen grabbed my wrist, nails biting so deep I bled. Sleep became impossible. Shadows moved in corners, whispers threaded my dreams. By now, I'd lost count of sleep-deprived nights. After one of those difficult nights, at dawn, I found pages torn from a ledger, arranged neatly on my bed. I was freaking out again. I didn't know what to make of it, and I was scared. Really, really scared. I didn't even know exactly of what. And then, one humid night, thunder rolling outside, I found a ledger. It had been misfiled under miscellaneous. Its leather cover cracked, pages brittle. On its front, I could still see faded words saying, Carlisle Indian Industrial School. I stared at it. So this was the name of this school. I have never heard of it. Hoping to get some more understandings of what happened in this school, I started to read through the ledger. But I only felt my blood freezing more and more with each line I read. Measles, age 4. Tuberculosis, age 9. Runaway, froze to death. Unknown, no family notified. Little boy. Unknown girl, moved, disappeared. Little girl, consumption. Unruly child, buried after fever, no family notified. Runaway, drowned. And so on. Lists and lists of names, each marked with a small cross. At the end, in different handwriting was written, transferred to cemetery, no marker. Dozens and dozens of children. It was the deaths ledger. Some deaths marked just with a single line, no cause, no date, just a single line. A beloved child, with a mother and a father waiting for them, just a single line. So many children. Forgotten. I stumbled all of a sudden, dropping the ledger. It landed open, pages fluttering. From the shadows, small shapes moved closer. Children in tattered uniforms, hair shorn, eyes hollow with centuries of sorrow. My flashlight died. In the pitch dark, they came. Hands grasped at me, not violent, but desperate. They pulled, as if begging me not to leave. Small, cold hands brushed my face. Lips pressed to my ear. Breath colder than death. I screamed, clawed my way free, bursting outside. Behind me, the door slammed shut, the sound echoing through stone and dust. Images poured into my mind. Hair shorn while girls screamed, boys whipped until skin split, mouths forced open to pour in soap and lye. Endless nights in the punishment room. Children crying for mothers who never came. A final thought pressed into my mind, heavier than any words. They were children. They did nothing wrong. They found me the next morning, collapsed near the basement, feverish, delirious, whispering names over and over, clutching the ledger. My hands were streaked with soot. On my arm, a bruise shaped like a small hand. They had shown me what history refused to say. Piece by piece, horror became history. This was the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, opened in 1879 to assimilate Native American children into European culture. It operated until 1918. More than 10,000 Native American children were forcefully taken from their families from over 140 tribes: Lakota, Cheyenne, Navajo, Apache, Arapaho, Hopi, and more, and brought to this school. Many never returned home, even after death. Many died from abuse, malnutrition, disease, and despair. The children were forced assimilation. Their hair was cut, clothes burned, languages forbidden, letters home censored or never sent. Generations were lost. The founder of the school was Captain Richard Henry Pratt. He believed Native children could be civilized only by total erasure of their culture. His words, spoken at a 1892 conference, haunt me. Kill the Indian in him, save the man, and he meant it. Strip away their language, belief, hair, family, faith, even names, until nothing Indian remained. And by using punishments like lion mouths, beatings, solitary confinement, starvation, prohibition of contact with family, whippings, sometimes so severe a child couldn't walk. These punishments weren't exceptional, they were policy. And Carlisle became the model for over 350 similar schools across the United States and over 130 in Canada. Some children died quickly from disease, others died slowly inside. Generations forbidden to speak their language, punished for praying, denied family visits. Records also show children who tried to run away. In files was written, ran, recaptured, punished, died of exposure. The cold language of bureaucracy, hiding grief beyond measure. In 1891, 3 Apache boys fled in winter. They froze to death in nearby fields. Another, Lucy Pretty Eagle, died of pneumonia. Staff noted she was buried quietly. By 1926, nearly 83% of Native American children were in this system. Carlisle closed in 1918. Many children were sent to other schools: Chilocco in Oklahoma, Haskell in Kansas, Genoa in Nebraska, Sherman in California, and dozens more. For them, the nightmare didn't end. Abuse, forced labor, broken bones, broken hearts. Families sometimes received children back in boxes, or not at all. Families waited decades for news that never came. The last of these schools closed as late as 1996 in Canada, and in the 1970s in the US. In 1928, the Merriam Report, commissioned by the US government, finally condemned the schools for gross neglect, insufficient care, overcrowding, and abuse. Yet many remained open for decades, and the trauma passed down generation to generation. Still today, one of the overarching reasons for a lot of mental and health issues in this community, also leading to dysfunctioning homes, is this boarding schools era. History books call Carlisle an experiment in assimilation, and official reports boasted of progress, discipline, and civilization. But the truth feels closer. It was an act of erasure so brutal, it echoes beyond death. Survivor Lena Whitebird from Cheyenne tribe recalled in testimony decades later, "They beat the Indian out of us, but they could not kill what was in our hearts." Former student Samuel Highbear Rosebud Sioux also testified decades later, "They made me kneel for hours, sometimes on cinders. If I spoke my language, I got whipped or my mouth washed with soap until I vomited." Another, Henry Standing Bear, recalled, "They kept us silent. Even our dreams betrayed us if we spoke in sleep." An Annanin former student recalled, "I just couldn't learn that language, so they put lye soap in my mouth, and the kids would get blisters." I also saw a fellow student die from beatings at the school. When the Army War College took over the grounds in 1918, children buried in the school cemetery were dug up and relocated. Records were incomplete. Remains were sometimes reburied without names or moved so carelessly families still can't find them. Even today, descendants still fight to return children home. I understand now. The marble rolling across stone, the tugs on my skirt, the shadows hiding behind shelves. They weren't haunting me out of malice. They were begging not to be forgotten. I left Carlisle before the summer's end, my heart scarred, knowing the real horror wasn't the whispers or shadows, but it was what was done in daylight, with pens and policies. What happened here was not an accident, not legend, but policy. Children stolen, silenced, buried under words like civilization. The little hands tugging at my skirt were real hands once. The whispers were real words, once forbidden. The punishments were not a legend. They were built by people, used on children whose only crime was being themselves. I left Carlisle, but the children didn't leave me. Even now, years later, I still hear them. In quiet rooms, on windless nights, their small voices call, "More names, find more." Because there are still children in unmarked graves, under lawns, parking lots, forgotten by record keepers and history, but they remembered. And sometimes, in mirrors, I catch glimpses of rows of children behind me, waiting. If you visit Carlisle, walk softly. You might hear whispers in a tongue you don't know. Words in Lakota, Cheyenne, Arapaho. You don't need to understand the words. Just listen. Tiny voices, brittle with sorrow, still calling, asking, "Remember us." Knowing is now the only peace we can give them. And now, you know.